All right. Um, yeah, so without wasting much time, I think we can start now, right? Others will join. They'll join. Um, yeah, welcome once again to another impactful session. Like you all heard last night when we were wrapping up, you should try your best to join with your laptop today so that you practice while the lecture is going on. So we have a facilitator here already. He's someone I recently met in the field, and I fell in love with his work and how far he has come. Right? Okay, Ruben, that's noted. He's Aflabi Shokeye. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it well. Yeah. And he's a growth program manager at Wetroclad. He's coming with 3+ years of extensive experience in product management, and he has made significant contributions in the AI field, fintech, food tech, and SaaS industry. Right, his career is marked by a passion for tracking complex challenges and a steadfast commitment to delivering exceptional value for society at large. So you know that you don't just have a newbie in the field coming to impact on you today, right? You have someone with 3+ years of building products, impactful products, and helping products thrive in the product space. So with our emoji ovation, right, with our reactions, please make welcome our facilitator for today, the person of Afalabi Shakir. Afalabi, welcome. Welcome.
Okay, thank you very much, Blessing. Thank you everyone for the shares. And it's nice to be here to impact any knowledge I can to the next generation of builders. So yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, welcome. Yeah.
So do I take it on from here or?
Yes, you can proceed now.
Okay, thank you. So let me just share my screen.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm hoping you can see my screen now.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Okay. So in today's session, I'm going to be talking on vibe coding using bots. But first of all, I had just a slide to talk about me. I'm also a co-founder of an AI startup. So that will tell you that I know more about AI. And, I'm very also passionate about using AI to solve problems. And I'm not just a growth product manager. I'm also a product manager with both technical and growth experience. I also have a background in software engineering, and I have over 1 year plus of experience designing and building prototypes types and products with AI tools like Lovable, which you learned in your last session, Bolt, and many other products. So in this entire masterclass, we're just going to be going over very few concepts: AI coding, what it is, vibe coding, how to research around the problem that you're trying to solve, and how to just generally build the product and then get it to the audience you're trying to build it for, or the users you're trying to build it for. So that's just what we're going to be going over. And we're going to be using Bolt for all this. So I'm just going to be going over very few concepts so everybody kind of understands why we are even doing this in the first place, or what Bolt even is, and then what we're going to be doing with it. So first of all, artificial intelligence. The main thing we need to know about artificial intelligence is that these are just computers designed to help us perform tasks that require human intelligence. For example, the coding that we're going to be doing, normally you have to do it manually by hand and then learn how to code software. But now that we have AI, it can help us generate the code, but just by us conversing with it, right? Which is a very, very interesting thing. An example of that would be like ChatGPT, right? I'm sure many of you here have tried ChatGPT where you have a question, something that would require you to talk to a human expert. You can easily just ask ChatGPT about anything you don't understand, and then to be able to give you back a responsive answer. Another example of AI is the YouTube algorithm. So, for example, the way where we watch one YouTube video, and then the next video YouTube is recommending is something very similar to that. That is also AI in retrospect. So AI is taking the history of what we've done before and is trying to predict the next thing that we are going to want to do, right? So that's an example. So the next one I'll be talking about is coding. I'm not going to make it very complex. Coding is just the process of building software in a language that the computer understands. That's it. So that's why when we type a particular thing on our keyboard, the computer is able to respond because it has been coded into the computer that action that we're taking, it should respond to that, right? And to put it all together, artificial intelligence, which performs human tasks, and then coding, which helps us create software. When you now put the both together, AI coding is now the ability of using that AI that understands human tasks to help people code, debug, and iterate software, just to help us build software in general, right? So I'll just be moving to vibe coding. And this is where we would stop on the slide before we start going into what we're going to be doing today. So vibe coding is a style of software development where we build software by conversing with AI or prompting AI rather than manually writing lines of code. So normally before you build any software, you have to have a developer somewhere or a software engineer that has to be there to help you develop the software by themselves because they have the technical skills. But these days, you don't need that anymore. You by yourself can start building software by conversing with AI, and it's going to be able to help you build those products or software or features that you've always wanted to build to solve problems, right? Examples of vibe coding tools are like Lovable, which was taught in your session yesterday, Bolt, which I'm going to teach in this session, and there are other ones like Replit, VO, Base 44, which you can check out during your own time. Yeah, so we're just going to be going into the first section of what we're going to be doing with vibe coding. And the first thing is problem discovery. So this is where I'm going to allow everybody come in. What is one problem that you've always been trying to solve, one problem that you've had? You can drop it in the comment section, or you can, open your mic and share it with us, right? So I just want to I want everybody to be able to be involved in the session where you can share problems that you've been thinking about solving, and we can try to build it all here together. So does anybody have any ideas? And while you guys are thinking of that, there's one I've always been interested in, which is a university picker. So I've noticed a lot of students, when they're trying to pick which university they should go to or which course they should study, they don't usually know, right? But they have the skills, they have the interests. So I've been thinking, why can't we build maybe a website for that, where they will put in their interest, put in their existing skills, put in the subjects they've studied, and voila, it helps them choose a list of universities that they can go to based on those things they've put in. So that's an idea that I've always wanted to be able to build, because I've noticed that every time students are always trying to wonder or trying to know which university that they can go to. So does anybody else also have maybe an idea that they think would be nice to develop or nice to build? Okay, I can see someone raising their hand. Dom Vic, you can go on.
Okay. Good evening, Afulabi. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yes, I have this idea, though I've not really developed it anyway, but I have this idea since. So, and it goes like this. I have observed in rural areas, secondary schools, especially in rural areas, that teachers don't come to school
Okay.
regularly. Yeah, they don't come regularly. They come at will. Whenever they
Okay.
like, they show up. And there is no system in place from government, especially government schools. There is no system in place to track whether they come to class or not, whether they
Oh,
are able to like cover their curriculum per term or not. They don't, there is nothing like that in place. But at the end of the month, they still collect their salaries, and the students are the ones suffering for it.
okay. Uh, I think that's a very good idea. I think that would be an attendance tracker, maybe kind of
Yes, something
where anytime they come to school, they have to, maybe check in, and then it will mark the time they came, and then the school can follow up with how they've been coming, how they've been attending to their students. So I think that's actually a good idea. Um, is that the entire thing, or do you have more to add to that?
No, no, that's the entire thing. Just
Okay,
that yeah, that's the entire thing.
okay,
Just
that's
to
very
put in a system where they are able to like hold accountable.
Yeah, yeah, that's very good. Thank you very much, John Vic. Okay, so there's
Thank you.
another person raising up their hand. Ogunle Samuel, you can go on.
Thank you very, very much, sir. Good evening, everybody. I have an idea to create network within. Good evening, everybody. Can I go on?
Yeah, we're listening.
So I have an idea to create an app where people can get accommodation, like a app that rents house or lease house from the comfort of your home. You can talk to the landlord
Okay.
directly from the app or through the agents on the app. So you don't need to go to the house to be checking from online. You can do that, and you make your payment. Then you just go there and maybe start. You just go there once to see the house. Unlike people looking for agents to help them look for house here and there.
Okay, okay, that's actually very, very interesting. I think that's like a real estate platform. So that's actually very interesting, where the the person that is looking for a house can go, probably maybe see pictures of the house, and then decide to pay from online rather than having to go through an agent, and then the process is very complex. So that's a very good idea too. I think someone else said something here. Edo State is using this product already. It was introduced by the previous administrations to public schools. Okay, thank you for the person that mentioned that. I'm assuming that's for the teacher attendance tracker, right? Just to be sure. Okay, then I don't know if the person is, but I'm assuming it's for the teacher attendance tracker. Okay. I think those are
That sorry,
okay.
That's it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Does anybody have any other ideas that they think would be nice to explore? I just want everybody to rack their brain, because of this this part of the process is very important. Like knowing what you're trying to solve, the problem you're trying to solve, what idea you're trying to pick around is important. This is like one of the first important steps in going about before you even vibe code. Because of in vibe coding, you need to organize your problem and the solution that you want to build well before you even start doing it, right? That's one very, very important thing. But since we already have these three, which is the university picker, teacher and attendance tracker, and real estate platform, would take one of them. So I think we'll try the teacher attendance tracker. It's a relatively more easier platform to vibe code, where we'll have a platform where the teacher can, maybe log in, but let's expand the idea as we go about vibe coding. So I'm just going to go to both to show everybody how that looks like. Can everybody see my screen? Can everybody see my screen? Okay, yes. Maybe what I would do is, okay, so I'm going to have this sidebar here so that I can see what everybody's saying as I'm on both. Yeah, so this is both. It is at both.new. Let me copy the website link and put it in the comment box so everybody can access it as I'm also doing that. So in case you want to explore as I'm doing that, you can access that. And our idea is a teacher attendance tracker. Someone mentioned that they've done it in Edo states, which is a good observation. But I'm sure there are other states they've not done it in. I'm sure there are maybe other states in the north where or anywhere around Nigeria where they don't have effective systems to help them track attendance. So it's good that they have it in one place, and that is actually also part of one of the things I wanted to mention in the next step of product research and discovery, which is market analysis. So knowing the competitors in the markets, knowing the places they've done it, knowing the places they've not done it, and knowing where you can really, really help impact and solve problems there. So what we'll just do is we'll make it very simple. The first step to actually take is to plan. That's the most important step, to plan. And our idea is so we can start writing it out. We want to build a teacher attendance tracker for secondary schools in Nigeria, right? So this is the idea, but now we need to go deeper, right? So what is this trying to help us do? How would this software look like? These are the things that we need to go deeper in. So for example, this would help solve the problem of teachers missing classes and not engaging with students. So that's one problem that we're going to be solving. Then number two, this would help the school effectively track teacher engagements with students. So it's solving two problems, right? It's helping solve the problem of teachers missing classes. So now they'll be more engaging, and it's helping the school to track that teacher engagement with students. And then some of the features, now we need to think about the kind of features that we want to have. So we've mentioned we're building a teacher attendance tracker. We've mentioned the problems it will be solving. So now to put it to everybody here, what kind of features do you think this should have so that we're all involved in the process? What features would you say that we should have in this app that we're building that will help solve this problem? So anybody can raise their hand and unmute, and then help us put it out there on what problem or what features that would help us solve this. So let me just say the first feature. Okay, I think Idris.
I was thinking.
Okay.
I was thinking we could address the issue of verification.
Verification. Okay.
Yeah,
okay, so
because we
explain
need
verification in what sense?
Yeah, in the aspect of we trying to know the end result of each of the teachers teaching. Are
Okay.
the students actually gaining should I put it, benefit? Is
Okay.
he actually impacting the appropriate knowledge onto the students in a way to understand, maybe they really understand what he or she is teaching them?
Okay.
It's more like
okay.
a quality assurance or quality control thing, getting feedback. And I was thinking that the feedback we can get from that end is the output of the students.
Okay. Yeah, yes, I think that is a good idea. If and the way that will work is maybe we have a form where the students will fill, and then it will talk about the teacher engagements, and then we'll also compare the results of the students. So for example, let's say the course is maths, and then we can see their CA, we can see their exam, And having those two will help us with the attendance of the teacher, the attendance engagement would now help us understand if it is actually benefiting the students or not. So I think that's a good one. Other people have also dropped in. Okay, Oluwani first Simi dropped attendance sign in and sign out. That is actually a good one, so that we know when the teacher signs in the school, and then we know when they sign out at the end of the day. That's very important. Clock in and clock out. Yeah, I think that's very similar from Toluwalashe. And then the last one is list of teachers. Yes, I think that's also a very good one. Because I don't want to overcomplicate this system, the list of teachers idea is also a good one, so that the teacher will pick their name, and then that's when they now input the sign in and sign out. So let's write that down. So attendance, sign in / clocking, and sign out. Okay. Dom, Vic, yeah, you have a suggestion.
Yes, sir. So I think there will be need to have a feature that identifies which school, the schools that the teacher is taking.
Okay. So do you mean the physical school? So for example, let's say Loyola Jesu or Faith Academy, or do you mean the subjects that the teacher is taking?
No, the individual schools, as in, like you mentioned, Loyola Jesuits.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Then that's very good. So we can do list of schools, list of subjects. I think that's also very important. List of teachers. So let me put this under features. Features. Yeah. Put this as the problem. So features, list of schools. They'll pick the school they are in. They'll pick the subject they are taking. They'll pick the teacher. I also think they should be able to pick the class they are teaching. So that will be very important. If it's just one, just two, so that we'll know exactly what they're signing in for. And then the attendance signing. Does anybody have any other thing you think we should add to this? Any other? Okay, teacher's location, if the app is meant for different schools. Yeah, I think that's good, but like I mentioned, so that we don't overcomplicate it, we'll just make it simple by having a list of schools, right? Because of when we start thinking location, that is actually a good idea, but then it's going to become very, very complex for this simple session that I'm trying to do. And I don't want to overcomplicate it. So for now, we'll just put a list of schools that handles the location, so that we know where the teacher is coming from. But yes, that's a very good suggestion. Yes, so the school, the subject, the teacher, the class, and then we have the attendance sign in and sign out, so that we can see that. Does anybody have any other thing they think we should add to this teacher attendance tracker? You cannot see this.
I don't know whether we've talked about the time in.
Yes, so that's the attendance clock in and clock out. Yes, we've mentioned that it's here. Okay. That's one of the features that we've mentioned that this app should have. Samson, please, I can't see your screen. Can you see it now? Can you see my screen now? Just to make sure everybody is following along. Also, is this a general problem, or this is just a problem for one person?
I think this is just for Sammy. Okay. I can see your screen.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Somewhere you can go off and come in again. It will be your network.
Okay. So we have our simple problem and the list of features that we want now. And we're just going to go into plan mode. So Bolt has this plan mode where it would not build anything yet. You can just chat with it to understand what you're trying to build and to solidify the solution before you start building it. So we're going to stick, they have something called agent here. We're just going to stick with the default one. We don't need to affect or, change anything about that. Then you can also add files. So if you have any files on the idea or any images of a solution that looks like what you want to build, you can also add that. But for now, we're just going to be keeping it simple with the idea we're trying to build, the problem we're solving, and the features that this app is going to have. So we're just going to tap build now, and it starts taking us into the build section. So now the AI is planning, right? It's planning. So we're just going to wait for that. While we're waiting for that, we'll go back to the slide. And let me just go over some things on the product research and discovery. So problem discovery is what we just did. We thought of an idea, we thought of what the main problem is, and we thought of, okay, what type of solutions we should come up with, which are the features. There are other things we need to think of. There's market analysis where we look into the market. Is there anything like this? Just like, I think your party mentioned it when he was talking about the solution in Edo State. So it's very important to know if they already have this, if this is already solving a problem or not, so that we know how to apply it. Also user research, being able to talk to people in the school, like the school administration, being able to talk to the students, being able to talk to the teachers, and understanding how they go about that process is also very important, because it will give us a better idea on how to build this product to help solve their problem. There's competitive analysis where we would try to understand, are there other solutions in this market solving the problem? Is there a need for our solution in that market to solve the problem? It's also very important. There's also prioritization and MVP. So just like someone mentioned us having location, right? Location tracking. That is an important feature. But because we want to keep it simple, we want to just make a simple product to test out if this problem is, if we should solve this problem, we will not implement it at first. So keep it very simple and we'll prioritize the important features that we should have before we go into location tracking. And then the last is product roadmap. So what should we build out? Like the list of features that I already mentioned, that's an example of our product roadmap. Okay, not yet. Okay, so let's go back. So the AI has given us something. So it has said it will help us create a comprehensive plan for building a teacher attendance tracker for secondary schools in Nigeria. So it's exploring. It has mentioned things like us having user roles and authentication. So school administrator in the system, so that they can see the teachers who are clocking in and clocking out. Super admins in the system, so they can see who manage multiple schools. They have class assignments where we should be able to assign teachers to specific classes and subjects, and if any teacher can clock in for any class. And we also have attendance tracking. So it's asking us, when teachers clock in and clock out, should they be able to select a specific class they are teaching, or generally just clock in for any class? So it's planning with us, which is very, very, very important. So it has mentioned some things on how it's going to go about creating the system. So it has mentioned the database, it has mentioned the school, table, subjects, teachers, classes, attendance record. Okay, so I would say it's overthinking it. We want to build a very, very simple system here. Right. So what we should bring it down to is we want a simple system with a list of schools. So let's put in the list of schools. So just so we don't make it very large. So let's say Loyola Jesu, let's say Faith Academy, let's say King's College. Which other school can we put in? If anybody has an idea. Okay, Air Force School. Okay, we can put that in. Air Force School. Air Force. Okay, I think we'll work with those 4 schools. Then let's put the list of subjects. So let's say mathematics, English. We'll just put very, very simple subjects: English, language, computer studies. I'm not sure they still have computer because of in my time, that's what they used to call it. I think now it's called information technologies or something like that. Maybe so mathematics, English, computer, let's say home economics. That's also another subject. So we'll have those 4 subjects. So let's list the classes, the list of classes. So let's say we are from just 1A to D, same thing with just 1, just 2, just 3, SS1, SS2, SS3. But to keep it simple, let's do this just for junior secondary school. So just 1, A to D, just 2, A to D, and then just 3, A to D. So that's simple. Just 3, A to D. So we have our list of schools, list of subjects, list of classes. What else did we mention? We mentioned list of teachers. Yes. List of teachers. So I'll just use the names that are here. So all of us will be the teachers in the system. Okay, Fred City. Okay, so now we have our list of schools, list of subjects, list of classes, and list of teachers. Very, very, very simple system where so now we want to think about how do we want this software to be structured. So for example, what would it look like if we were to track attendance? So would the teacher be able to pick their name and then pick the class that they are teaching, pick the subject, pick the school, right? And then after they've picked all that, what would be the next step? Would they be able to clock in the time? Should it be an automatic timer? Should it be a manual timer? So these are some of the things you're going to be thinking about while you're building the solution, right? So does anybody have an idea of what the flow should be like if we're building something like this? So how these teachers will be able to clock in, clock out, and work out the various options, just so everybody can be involved. Okay, I think Ugochi, yes, you raised your hand.
An automatic timer is perfect because we want to be sure that there's no fraud. Because I can come by, I can come by now. I put 8 o'clock, so an automatic timer is perfect.
Okay, yes, thank you very much. Does anybody have any other suggestion? Anybody else? Let me check the comments. Okay, ICT. Yes, thank you. Let me even replace that with ICT. Okay, so let's go to the next step. And the next step is, since we already have our options, let's say these are the schools we want to start with. So we don't even want to go too far. We want to start with these schools, these subjects, these classes, and these specific teachers. Now we also want to explain to it how we want the flow to be. So first of all, the teacher should be able to pick the school that they are teaching at. So after the teacher is able to pick the school, what's the next step? The teacher should be able to pick the class they are teaching at. The teacher should be able to pick the subjects that they are teaching class, and last of all, they should pick their name. And then they should clock in via a button. So we want the teacher to take an action which shows that they actually signed in. So I think the best thing would be to put a clock in button, right? And then, it is that clock in button that will start the automatic timer, just like Kukochi mentioned, so that they don't cheat the system. So we would have that clock in via a button. And then when they want to clock out, they should click the clock out button. So that is the end-to-end flow from the teacher picking the school to the subject to the class, and last of all, their name before they clock in. And then once they're done, they will clock out. So now, how should the school be able to oversee this process? Should there be a separate place that they can see the list of teachers that have clocked in and clocked out for the day? Does anybody have any idea of how that should look like? If we're building something like this, because it is the school that is going to be managing the list of attendance from those teachers. So does anybody have any idea on how we should structure that?
Sorry, I didn't get your question.
Okay, I said now that we've organized the flow, the structure of how we want the teachers to be entering the attendance, to be clocking in and clocking out. Now we want to track that attendance. Let's say after the end of the day, the school wants to monitor all the teachers that logged in and logged out for the day, which teachers didn't log in, which teachers didn't log out. What should that look like? Does anybody have any idea of what we should have to be able to monitor the attendance? Okay, I think Domvik has a hands raised. Hey, you can go.
Okay, so I'm just thinking about whether it is possible to connect this thing to a server where we can monitor from that is remote. Because if the school have like total control over this, it's still possible to manipulate it, I think so. So whether it could be linked up to a server where it can be monitored remotely to know. I don't really have a clear picture of that, but that is what I'm thinking in mind.
Okay, that is a good suggestion. But because we want to keep it simple, right? I'm trying my best to keep this very simple so that we don't complicate it or we don't make it hard, because once we start mentioning servers and all that, it becomes harder to grasp. All right, now we have to be going into the technical understanding of why we are even, hosting it on the server. But I'm trying to make this solution so simple that we don't even need the server. It's a simple system that can work without that. Okay, I think Ruben, you have a question.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I think if we want to, add that feature for school to track teachers that actually came to school or students that came to school, I think if we are adding that feature, I think that is a bit that should not be in the MVP. Reason in this, I'll give you an example. Like from what I heard, I was the one that talked about the that Edo State is already using a similar product. I think there is more of like is it an IoT now? It's like there's a device in school. So as a teacher, when you are around the school, so you don't even need to log in. Automatically, it sees your device. Each teacher is given a device. So automatically the stuff sees your device and it's registered that, oh, okay, this teacher came to school today and all of that. Do you understand? Because if you want to do log, I can be at home and log in and not in school. So it will still register there. Just like the way you have a clocking machine where when you get there, they've already taken your biometrics. When you get there, it's just for you to put your fingerprints and it shows that you came to work. It shows when you clock in and when you clock out. So with that kind of feature, if you want to add it here, I think it will be a bit complex for the MVP. So I don't know. So I just thought
that is a good suggestion. But before I give comments on that, I'll allow Ugochi so that she can also express her opinion.
Okay, I think let me just say it. I was thinking that it's possible for a teacher to come to school but not go to class.
Okay.
That's a very big possibility. Even when we're secondary school, just come to school and they just stay in class without. So, because the child came to school, does not automatically, translate to them being in class. So, how do we marry that? Since because I can since the company can pick that I'm around the school. That means I can just be coming around the school every day without being in class, and it's just defeats the purpose of the device in the first place.
Okay, thank you for that. So let me reply to your opinion before I go to Ruben's on. And this is why this is a simple MVP. It's a proof of concept so that we can show the school that we can help track teachers' attendance in real time. And then when we now want to build the full thing, we can now think about things like what you mentioned, like to make sure that the teacher is in the class and not just coming to school and staying around. So I think one thing that will help with that is also student attendance, because of if the teacher is the one prompting the student's attendance, then it would automatically track that the teacher is in class. Right? That's one thing that can help solve their problem. So usually you are killing two birds with one stone. You get the teacher to log in the attendance and you get them to also engage with the students, where all the students log in the attendance for that class. And now you know that both the teachers and the students have logged in for that class. So that could be an answer. And then, for what Ruben mentioned, he's right. But like I mentioned, this is a proof of concept. It's an MVP. Just for us to show, it's a prototype, just for us to show the concept or the idea of what we're trying to do. When we're not trying to build a bigger solution that works across schools, classes, then we can now make it more robust by adding devices like IoT, like you mentioned, where the teachers can log in physically with a device. So now you know that they are there because of it's taking in their inputs physically. And for example, maybe the teacher has to enter their email and password that the school has given them. So only the teacher can do that. Maybe they also have to enter a fingerprint or something. But those are the kind of things in real world where we can now implement that to effectively track. But this, what we're building here is just a proof of concept so that we can idealize how this should actually be like. Does anybody have any other opinion to that, or we're good to go on? Okay, Idris mentioned a simple way of measuring effectiveness, validation. Yes. For that, it's also the same thing. This is just a proof of concepts, right? In a real world system, there will be a way to develop a validation system, like I mentioned, adding the attendance of the teacher with the attendance of the students, maybe attendance rates, adding the scores for that course. So at the end of the semester, when we see the scores of the students, right, measuring that against how well the student attended the class, how well the teacher attended the class, that will be able to help us know how effective this attendance tracking system is, right? So that is also a good feature, but because of this is a proof of concept, simply, we would not be implementing any of that, right? So I think what we'll just do here is we'll just implement the basic attendance tracking system, and then we would have a list, and that list will just be the teachers that attended the class, when they clocked in and when they clocked out. Simple. And then with that list, the school should be able to see the list and know which teachers attended the class for the day. So what we'll do is it would have the list of all the teachers, and then it would show when they clocked in and when they clocked out. If they didn't clock in, it would show they didn't clock in at all, and well, they didn't clock out. So I think that would be a significant solution for this proof of concept to help us show what that would look like. So we would also have a list that mentions when the teacher clocked in and when the teacher clocked out. So this list is what the school administration will use to monitor teacher attendance. So the name of the teacher is very important. The name of the teachers, when the teachers clocked in and when the teachers clocked out. So if now, this is where we come into understanding situations like edge cases. So now, if a teacher doesn't clock in or clock out, what should it be like? What should it show on the system? Right. That's also another way to think about it. So if the teacher doesn't clock in to the system, then it should show no attendance, so that we know that that teacher did not clock in for that day. So yes, so now we have a structured idea of how we want the solution to work. So let's also send that. Okay, so before I send that to the AI, I want to talk about some things in terms of architecting this product. So understanding what type of product this would even be. So it's going to be a web application because it's more of a system. And then because we have data, this data needs to be stored somewhere, right? This data of the teachers, the schools, the subjects, the teacher, school, subjects, and classes. So this data needs to be stored somewhere. So we're going to have to work with a database where this data is going to be stored and processed from, right? In this system, we don't have any user authentication, so we're not putting any user authentication because it's a proof of concepts. So we're going to have a database where this data is being stored and processed from. Then we'll also talk about where we'll host our software later on, but let's keep it simple. So the only thing we need to know now is that we need to work with a database where we'll store this. So let's go on. Okay. So we've mentioned all the features and then the flow we want to have. Okay, so it's building the example. It's planning the example. Simplified teacher attendance tracker. Just like we mentioned, the initial one it gave us was too complex, so we needed to simplify it. So as mentioned, it would create school table with 4 schools, create subject table with 4 subjects, create classes table with 12 classes, just 1 A to D, just 2 A to D, just 3 A to D. Then to create the teachers table with the 10 teachers that we provided. Then to create the attendance record so that we have that list of attendance that the schools can monitor. And that is it. It has also mentioned it would help us build the teacher attendance page where we can now select the school, the classes, the subject, the teachers. Then we'll display clocking button so that it records the time that the teacher clocked in, and a clock out button so that it records the time that the teacher clocked out. So it has mentioned adding validation to prevent clocking in twice. So there's something called cookies that help you record a session on a system. So what we're going to do is so that teachers are not able to clock in or change their time, cookies are also going to be part of this, where once you record that session, even if they reload the page, they cannot change what has been put there. So it will always have that session stored. It also mentioned building an attendance records where to have all the list of teachers, schools, all the things that we've already talked about, the user interface that we're going to use, and then the core functionality and logic, right? So I mentioned the database. Both itself has a database in the system. So it is also going to help us handle all of that. So we're just going to, after we've read everything and made sure that this is what we want to build, we're going to tell it to help us build the software. Okay, so now we're going to leave plan mode. Leave plan mode. Okay. Okay. So now it's going to build the first version of the teacher attendance tracker. But as it's building it, does anybody have any questions so far on what we've mentioned around vibe coding in general, or researching the product? Does anybody have any questions so far? If you have any question, you can just raise your hand, or you can comment in the comment section. Okay, it should show missing. Make it pin. Yeah, that's very, yes. I think I put no attendance, but if we have enough time, we'll change it to missing so that it can show missing. So right now, it's setting up the database. Like I mentioned, the database is where all the data will be stored. The schools, the subjects, the classes, the teachers, every data that we have for this system is going to be stored in the database. So it is creating the database now, setting up everything. So, but like I've mentioned, does anybody have any questions on anything? Okay, yes, Ugochi.
All right, wait, this database, is it that
Okay.
when they do their stuff, someone at the back end can see what they've done? Or
Yes, exactly. So anytime they put in the attendance, it's going to be recorded on the database. It's like let's say this was a physical process now, where let's say we're the database in the school. Anytime the students come to us, they are going to write the attendance. And okay, example, schools have books where you can write it manually.
Yes.
You can write the attendance manually. So imagine that the teacher will have to come to the book. They will write the time they came in, write the time it came out. That thing has been recorded on the book. So our database is a physical representation of that, which I will also show you once we go into that. So the system is complete. So the
Sorry,
application.
my second question.
Okay, yes, you can go on before we continue.
So when writing our prompt, do we need to add that she creates a database, or it automatically does it by itself?
Okay, so it already has a database. It depends on what your app is trying to do. Are you trying to store records? Are you trying to process records? If you are trying to store records, then it would know you need a database, but it's also good to mention it so that it knows. It's also good to mention it. So that's a very good question. So you can mention it.
All right, thank you.
Yes. But as far as you have anything to do with storing data or processing data or fetching data or updating data that you've already put into the system, you always need a database, which it already has implemented in the system. So from here, we can see that it is done. The application has two main interfaces: teacher clock in and clock out. Teachers can select their school, class, subject, and name, then clock in. They remain clocked in until they clock out. This system prevents duplicate clock-ins and shows the current status. Then it has another place, attendance records. This is a monitoring dashboard displaying all the attendance records with filters for school and teacher name, showing teacher's name, school, class, subject dates, clock in and clock out, and the current status. So the database is ready. In our database, we have all the schools, the subject, classes, the teachers, and the real-time attendance tracking. And it shows what it's built it with, which is not what we should be bothered about. But let me take you into the database. So this is the database. On both, you can access the database on this button. You can see that the database is connected. So once you tap it, you can see schools, subjects, classes, attendance record. Database is just like you have a table. You have an Excel sheet, for example, and each sheet is a database on its own. It's a table. So in schools, we can see all the schools that were mentioned here: Loyola Jesu, Faith Academy, King's College, Air Force School. Under it. So database is just a collection of tables that we have where our data is stored. You can see the subjects we mentioned: mathematics, English, ICT, all that. So now we're going to go out of this so that we can test out the system, which is the next step. So this is the in-app, the web browser that is in-app, so that anytime we build a feature, we can see what it looks like. So let's try testing the system now that we've done. So let's say we are going to Air Force School, which was what someone mentioned. We're a teacher in Air Force School. We're teaching just 2A. The subject we're teaching is maths, and our name is Blessing. Right. We're going to clock in. So it's clocking in. You can see Blessing is currently clocked in at 7:02:13 p.m. That's my time. I'm sure your time is going to be 8:02. So, but yes, clocked in at 7:02. So it took the time from my device and automatically clocked me in. So if we go to the records, we can see here for the school to monitor: teacher name, Blessing, school, Air Force School, class, just 2A, subject, mathematics, dates, that's recorded the dates, clock in time, that's recorded the clock in time, the status was still clocked in. So everybody can see that. So if you notice, it doesn't allow me to clock in again because I've already clocked in. And then if I clocked out successfully. If we go to records, so let's refresh this page. Okay, we don't even need to refresh. You can see completed. Status completed. We also have a filter where we can see if it's just Blessing attendance records. You can see if it's Afolabi, I don't have any attendance records yet. If it's Ugochi, she does not have any attendance records yet. So this is just all the records for all the teachers so far. And that is our simple teacher attendance tracker. Does anybody have any questions so far about this system? Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, sir, for this is amazing. And
yeah, it's amazing being able to build products just by chatting with AI.
Yes, honestly, it's unheard of, but it's here before us, do life. So I was all the while concerned and curious as well.
Okay.
We were going this back and forth, doing all the iterations with our prompts, and my concern had been whether you will run out of credits along the line. So no, I don't know.
So please, okay, that is actually a good question. So I knew that I only had 300k tokens, right? Both gives only 300k daily tokens that I can track. So what I did was I didn't start building immediately. I planned all the things I wanted to plan, because planning doesn't take so much tokens on both here that we're building. It doesn't take so much tokens. It is the building that takes the tokens. So what you want to do is you want to plan until you have the general idea of what you want to build. Then you tell it to finally build it and let it go and build everything. That's the best way. But if you want to build upon what you've done here, you need to buy tokens so that you can do more, can add location tracking, you can make it more robust so that you can build it for a bigger system. But because of this is just a proof of concept, we didn't need to buy tokens, and I kept it very simple so that we don't have to extend too much so that the system can work. But we can see here that the attendance system works, and for tracking records, we can also track the records over here. Well, yes, thank you, Don, for that. Ugochi, I see you've raised your hand. You can go on.
My question is, if you want to edit what we've done, how do we do that?
You just chat with it. So, for example, you still have 50k tokens, 15k. So let me show you what that looks like. Let's say 15k tokens is small, but what can we change? What can we add with 15k tokens? Okay, so suggest a change. Let's see something that you can suggest. Okay, can we see these filters? So we can see we have only 2 filters here. We have filter by school, filter by teacher. Let's say we want to filter by class. So let's add that to here. So let's tell it on the attendance records page, add filter by class feature. So since we already have filter by school, filter by teacher, let's add filter by class, and let's see what it will be able to help us do. Hopefully this works with our 15k tokens that is just remaining. So let's try this. Because it's not a very big feature, it should work. It's not a very big feature, so it should work. So we'll see it once it's done in real time. We'll see it once it's done. So it's currently working on it. And then when you are working with, when you're doing vibe coding or working with AI, think of it like it's a developer, like it's a human person. Okay, yes, we've hit our limits, as you can see here. We've hit our limits. But let's see what it was able to do. Let me reload. I hope it was able to change it. It was not able to do that. So our tokens are finished before it was able to do that. But ideally, if our tokens do not finish, if I had bought more tokens, if I had bought more tokens, you should be able to tell it to update it, and then it will automatically update it here so that you can see how that looks like, ideally. But yes, I was able to manage the 300k tokens that we had so that we could build this. But the next step now would be, now we want to share this with our users. We've built it, we have tested it in this browser here. Now we want to deploy it to our users. So let's publish this publish button here. You can just tap it. It's running a security scan. Okay. So usually it has security audits, but since this is just a proof of concept, it's just telling us that anybody can insert attendance records and update attendance records. But because it's a proof of concept, we can allow that. So we'll publish now. So we're publishing our sites, and we should have a link soon so that anybody can test. So once I publish this link, I'll share the link so that everybody can, pick that up and see what that looks like on their own end. So it's loading. But in the meantime, as it's publishing, okay, that's already published. Okay. So let's check it out. So this is it. Let me share the link in the chat box. So that's the link of our attendance system. This is what it is online. We can also change the domain name. So this domain name that we have here, we can change it. So we can change it and call it maybe teacher attend. Let's say that's the name of our software, teacher attend. We can call it that, save. And you can see it's updating. So it's republishing our sites. It's updating. We can also add a custom domain, but let me take it. Okay, we can say it has been successfully published at teacher attend. If we tap teachersattend.bo.host, you can see. Okay, someone is clocked in already. Eniola. Interesting. Blessing has also clocked in. Okay, that was me. Oluwanife Simi has also clocked in and completed. Good. So you can see we can monitor everything that is going on. She has also completed it. We can monitor everything. So you can see it's working in real time. This is not just me telling you. You can see that people are trying it, and we can see all the records here for all the other people that have clocked in and clocked out. And it works. You can see when they clocked in, you can see when they clocked out. So there's also other things like maybe you want to change the domain name. Maybe you've bought a domain. You can also buy a domain. You can add a domain you already have. Those are more extensive things. But our project is ready, and now we can share it with the school. Can share it with the teachers to try it out. We can understand how they use it. We can make it better by coming back to this project on both and chatting with it again and saying, okay, we got this feedback. We want to make it better this way. And then, we can make it better and keep on improving on it to help solve those problems. Right. Does anybody have any other question? Any other question? Okay. Yes, Oluwanifesimi.
Sorry, please, can you go over that database part one more time?
Okay. So like I've mentioned, let's think of this database like an Excel sheet. I'm sure everybody has done Excel here before, or you have an idea of it, that it has the whole tables, headers, everything. So a database is just a collection of tables. So we have different things. We have schools, we want it in its own table. We have subjects, we want it in its own table. We have classes, we want it in its own table. We have teachers, we want it in its own table. And then the last thing we have is the attendance records. So the time the teacher clocked in and clocked out, we want it in its own table. So imagine we're doing this process manually. We already have the schools, the subjects, the classes, and teachers in their own table. And now for the attendance record, anytime the teacher comes and writes the time they clocked in, it has clocked in. Writes the time they clocked out, that's clocked out. It has been recorded in those tables. So a database is just a digital version of that. If the teacher comes in on the software, that's the app that we built, and they clock in, it will record in the attendance records table. If they clock out, it will record in the attendance records table. So the database is just a collection of all those data tables and information that we are storing from the user. Does that answer your question? Oluwanifesimi?
Yes,
Or
does.
do you have any other question? Sorry, what did you say?
I I said yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, okay, no problem. Does anybody have any other question on that? Okay, yes, done. Yes, you can go on. You're muted.
Yes, the link is displaying 404. Why?
Okay, I'm supposed to share the new link. Sorry. Let me share the new link. Yes, that's a new link, so you can try it now. Sorry, I didn't see that. So we renamed it Teacher Attend. So it's a more befitting name for something like this. So have you been able to access that now, Dom?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any other questions about what we went through from beginning to end? Okay, I'm assuming nobody has any other questions because nobody has raised their hand or unmuted their mic. There were a lot of things I skipped over because of time. You know, I didn't want to make it so complex. But I think this was also a great way to just show everybody how you can go from an idea to a real app in, let's say, an hour that we've used there, right? We picked the idea on this call. It was not, we didn't have it before. We went into the problem. We needed to really understand the problem that we were solving. We listed out the solution that we wanted to build, and then we chatted with the both AI, and then we were able to build this. And this is just a real example of how you can see a problem in the market, understand it, come up with a solution, and then build it out to AI. And then share it with people because this app is already up, the domain is already up, and you know anybody can test it and give feedback on it, which is very important. And then from that feedback, we can use it to iterate the product to make the solution better. You know. And you know, that is it. This slide, I'm sure Blessing will share it with everyone. It's very extensive on the step-by-step process to take on, you know, trying to also build your own real app for any problem that you have. So, and then this is the last slide. In case you want to follow me on social media, these are my social media handles, where I mostly share things about AI, tech, startup, product management, and you know, any interests that I have in that.
Thank you so much, Afolabi, for this detailed session. Thank you.
Yeah, no
I am
problem.
surprised there are no questions. I think they are still sucking it in. It's been a whole lot of learning since yesterday. Yeah. So if you have any question, maybe when you want to try it out, just gather your questions. You can drop it in the group and we'll help you answer that. Right. Yeah. So please play around with it. Practice will help you to become better at it. You all have your ideas. This was Victor's idea that we just worked on the call now. So you can go from discovery, even if you don't have an idea, you can go from look at your environment. What's that problem that is going on and there's no solution for it? So you can go from discovering an idea to building it, iterating on it, and deploying it, right? You saw when he published it. So yeah. In the absence of no question, Afolabi, if you have any other thing you can share, then we call it
okay. Okay, I think the only other thing is, you know, just things you should take note of. First of all, the one is prompting, right, which is the chatting with AI. If you don't know what to ask it, just enter plan mode, discuss with it, right? Discuss with it until it has effectively listed out everything that you want. That is very, very important. So you don't need to know exactly how you want it exactly as it's in your head. You can see how I did it on the call. I was in plan mode. I didn't start building yet. I was just chatting with it. This is how I want it. It mentioned some things. I said, no, let's make it simple. These are the things I want, and then was able to build it out. Right. So until you have the simple idea of what you want to build, or whatever you want to build, you can just keep on chatting with the AI until it lists those things that you want, so that you can be able to build that out. There are also so many other complex things that you might not face yet, but when you are doing it, you'll be facing small by small. AI can also help you solve that. So if you run into problems, you can ask it to help you understand what the problem is, or help you fix the issue, right? Those things will also come up later on, maybe while you're building a more complex system. So those are also things that you should understand. Other than that, I do not think there's any other thing that I would want to mention. I think this covers a very simple implementation of using AI to build a real app. And then I think as you go on, you try to solve more problems, you try to build more solutions, you definitely understand better on how to, use AI to, do more. So yeah, that is pretty much it, Blessing. Thank you very much. And thank you to everyone for, having me and allowing me to share my knowledge on vibe coding.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So before you leave, right, you remember I told you we have a 13-year-old here. I don't know if you have any advice, any processes you might want to share with him on how he can go about it. That would be appreciated.
Okay. I was 13-year-old once too. So I'm trying to think of how I would be thinking about it if I was 13, to make it simple. I'll just say try it out. Don't overthink it. Just chat with it. Tell it what you want to build. And then, as it builds it, keep on telling it more on how you want to make it better. That is it. I think when you overthink things, it becomes complex. But if you want to try and build stuff, any idea you have, you can just go chat with it, tell it what you want to build, and then allow it to build it out. And then you can improve on it. I think that would be the advice. So just iteration over time. I think that would be the advice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, no problem.
So Moyi, you can look around, maybe your friends in school. Just think about a problem they are complaining about and there's no solution, right? Interact with the AI that this is the problem your friends are facing, and this is the solution you are thinking about, right? So when he's talking about iteration, he's talking about like you coming back to make the app better, that's improving on the app, right? So you don't just end at just building the basic, you keep improving it. Maybe as you're having more ideas, you try to improve it to make it better. I hope that helps, right?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, nice. So thank you so much, Afolabi. Thank you everyone for joining the session. So with this, we have come to the end of the 2 days class, right? And from tomorrow, the 10 days challenge will begin. You have access to all the recordings as well, so that you can go over all that has been taught, right? You get to understand it better again. Then practice, keep practicing. If you're Ruben, why are you crying? Keep practicing. For those of you that are using Lovable, that you have only 5 credits, if your credit is finished, keep it to the next day and try again, right? It will always get better. Yeah, so do we still have any other question, anything you want to say? But you can drop your question in the group. So with this, we've come to the end of our session for today. Do have a lovely weekend ahead. The weekend will finish safe. Work starts tomorrow. Work starts tomorrow. All right, guys. Bye, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Afolabi. Thank you, everyone. Good
Thank
night.
you very much for your participation. I'm glad I was able to get everybody involved. That's the most important thing for me, so that you can all